Chapter 4. Hearts on the Table. The cafe was tucked away on a quiet corner in Chelsea, far enough from both Washington Heights and the Upper East Side that neither Olivia nor Camilla would likely run into anyone they knew. Olivia had arrived early, claiming a corner booth and ordering a coffee that now sat cooling, untouched, as she rehearsed the impossible conversation in her mind. How did one explain to their best friend that they were considering a marriage of convenience to a gay billionaire? The bell above the door chimed, and Camilla swept in, her scrubs partially hidden beneath a leather jacket, her dark curls piled into a messy bun. She spotted Olivia immediately, her expression shifting from casual to concerned as she approached. "Okay, you look like you haven't slept in days," Camilla said, sliding into the booth. "This better be good." Olivia managed a weak smile, defined good. "Interesting, dramatic, worth missing the first hour of sleep I've had in 36 hours. Camilla leaned forward, her voice dropping. "Is this about that Blackwood guy? The one from the gala?" Olivia nodded, suddenly finding it difficult to speak. The weight of the past few days, the proposal, the meetings, the endless internal debate, pressed down on her chest. "Liv." Camilla's tone softened, concern replacing curiosity. "What's going on? Did something happen?" "He asked me to marry him." The words tumbled out, stark and absurd in the quiet cafe. Camilla's eyes widened, her coffee forgotten as the waitress set it down. "I'm sorry, what? You've known him for what, 2 weeks?" "It's not what you think." Olivia took a deep breath, then lowered her voice. "It's a business arrangement. A marriage of convenience." "So," Olivia began, her fingers nervously tracing the rim of her coffee mug. "You know Alexander Blackwood, right? The billionaire philanthropist I interviewed at the gala?" Camilla nodded, eyebrows raised. "The handsome one with the perfect hair and the foundation? What about him?" "He's in a situation." Olivia leaned forward, lowering her voice. "His grandfather left this massive fortune, $500 million, in a trust. But there's a condition. Alexander has to be married before his 35th birthday, which is in 10 months. "Okay." Camilla's expression shifted from curious to confused. "And this matters to you because?" Olivia took a deep breath. "Because he asked me to marry him." "What?" Camilla's voice rose sharply before she caught herself, glancing around the cafe. "Are you crazy? You've known him for what, 5 minutes?" "It's not like that," Olivia said quickly, her cheeks flushing. "It's not a real marriage. Well, legally it would be, but emotionally, romantically, it's a business arrangement." Camilla's eyes narrowed. "I don't understand." "Alexander is gay," Olivia said softly. "His grandfather was extremely conservative. The marriage clause was basically his way of forcing Alexander to live a traditional life." "Oh my God." Camilla sat back, her expression softening. "That's cruel." "Yeah," Olivia nodded. "Alexander has been trying to find a way around it for years. He could challenge the will, but it would be a public spectacle, and he might lose control of the foundation's work, which he's passionate about. So he wants a beard." Camilla's tone was matter of fact. "And he picked you because?" "He says I'm intelligent, independent, and discreet." Olivia's fingers made air quotes. "Someone outside his social circle who wouldn't be blinded by the money or have complicated connections." "And what exactly would this arrangement involve?" Camilla leaned forward, her medical training evident in her methodical questioning. "We'd get legally married. I'd move into his home. Appearances matter for the trustees who monitor the will's conditions." Olivia's voice grew steadier as she recited the terms. "We'd attend social functions together, maintain the public image of a couple. But privately, we'd lead separate lives. I'd have my own suite of rooms, complete privacy." "And financially?" Camilla asked, cutting to the chase. Olivia's voice dropped even lower. $2 million in a trust in my name on our wedding day. Mine to keep regardless of what happens. Monthly allowances of $15,000. And after 5 years, when the terms of the will are satisfied, an additional $5 million if we divorce amicably." "Holy crap." Camilla's eyes widened. That's life-changing money, Liv. I know. Olivia's expression was a mix of wonder and discomfort. It doesn't feel real. It feels like something from one of Abuela's soap operas. And what about? Camilla hesitated. Intimacy. Completely platonic. Olivia said firmly. Alexander was very clear about that. He's never been comfortable with physical intimacy with women. We'd have separate bedrooms, separate personal lives. And if you want to date someone else? Camilla raised an eyebrow. He says I'd be free to have discreet relationships. Olivia's expression grew troubled. That's where it gets complicated. Living a double life, keeping secrets. What about children? Camilla asked. Does his grandfather's will specify that? Not explicitly, but the trustees expect it eventually. Olivia sighed. Alexander says we could claim medical issues if pressed. They wouldn't push if it seemed insensitive. Oh, what a mess. Camilla shook her head. And how long would this charade last? 5 years minimum. Olivia's voice wavered slightly. That's how long we need to maintain the marriage for Alexander to secure full control of the trust. And you're actually considering this? Camilla's tone wasn't judgmental, just incredulous. I don't know. Olivia's composure finally cracked, her eyes glistening. Part of me thinks I'd be crazy not to. Abuela's hip surgery, Miguel's student loans, my own dreams of writing stories that matter instead of chasing freelance checks. This would solve everything. But, Camilla prompted gently. But I'd be living a lie. Olivia's voice caught. Everything my parents taught me about integrity, about speaking truth to power. How do I reconcile that with a fake marriage for money? Look, Olivia. Camilla reached across the table, taking her friend's hands. Your parents also taught you about responsibility, about taking care of family. They worked 3 jobs each so you and Miguel could have opportunities. I know. Olivia squeezed Camilla's hands. That's what makes this so hard. What would they want me to do? They'd want you to be safe, to be secure. Camilla's voice was firm. And maybe this isn't just about money. You said Alexander is passionate about his foundation's work, right? What do they do? Educational initiatives in underserved communities, arts programs, scholarships. Olivia's expression softened. Actually amazing work. So maybe this is also about purpose. Camilla's eyes lit up. You could help direct those resources, use that platform for good. Isn't that what your parents would want? Maybe. Olivia looked thoughtful. But there's something else. The trustees will be watching us, evaluating whether our marriage is genuine. What if they see through it? What if I'm not convincing enough? Girl, please. Camilla rolled her eyes. You're Dominican. Drama is in your blood. You could convince the Pope you're Catholic even if you're atheist. A reluctant laugh escaped Olivia. That's not exactly reassuring. It should be. Camilla's expression grew serious again. Look, I'm not saying this is simple or easy, but sometimes life offers strange opportunities. My mom always says, when life gives you lemons, don't just make lemonade, sell that stuff, and buy what you want. Olivia laughed despite herself. Your mom always did have a way with words. Exactly. Camilla nodded firmly. This is your lemon, Liv. A weird, rich, gay lemon named Alexander Blackwood. The question is, what are you going to do with it? I don't know yet. Olivia's expression was a complex mix of hope, fear, and determination. But I think I'm closer to deciding. Whatever you choose, Camilla said, squeezing her hands one last time. I've got your back, always. I know. Olivia smiled, grateful for the unconditional support. That's why I told you first. Well, that and because I give the best advice. Camilla winked, lightening the moment. Now, tell me more about this mansion you might be moving into. Does it have a pool? Because your girl needs pool access if you're becoming a billionaire's wife. Olivia laughed, the sound genuine for the first time in days. Whatever she decided, she wouldn't be facing it alone. Across town, in the private fitness center of his Manhattan building, Alexander was having a similar conversation. Marcus Chen spotted him as he bench pressed weights far heavier than usual, his movements fueled by a restless energy that had been building for days. "You're going to tear something if you keep this up," Marcus said, concern evident in his voice. "What's going on with you?" "Just working through some things," Alexander replied between controlled breaths. He completed his set and sat up, wiping his face with a towel. Marcus knew him well enough to recognize the signs of internal conflict: the excessive exercise, the tightened jaw, the distracted gaze. "She hasn't given you an answer yet," Marcus observed. It wasn't a question. Alexander shook his head. "Not yet. And that bothers you." "Wouldn't it bother you?" Alexander stood, pacing the private workout room. "My entire future, the Foundation's future, hanging on one person's decision?" Marcus studied his friend, his expression thoughtful. "You could find someone else. Someone more predictable." "I don't want predictable." Alexander's voice was sharp. "I want someone I can respect. Someone who sees beyond the Blackwood name and fortune." "And you think Olivia Rosario is that person? Based on what? A few conversations?" Alexander stopped pacing, his expression softening slightly. "You didn't see her in Washington Heights, Marcus. The way she is with her family, with her community. There's an authenticity there that I've rarely encountered in our world." "Authenticity won't protect you if this goes wrong," Marcus warned. "Have you considered what happens if she changes her mind halfway through? Or if she decides the arrangement isn't satisfying enough?" "That's why we have contracts," Alexander replied, echoing Camilla's words across town. "That's why I have you." Marcus sighed, recognizing the stubborn set of his friend's jaw. "Alex, I've known you since we were 14. I've seen you make difficult decisions, take calculated risks. But this feels different. Personal." Alexander was quiet for a moment, considering his friend's words. "Maybe it is," he admitted finally. "But not in the way you think." "Then explain it to me," Marcus pressed. "Help me understand why it has to be her." Alexander moved to the window, looking out at the city spread below. When he spoke, his voice was softer, more reflective. "Do you remember when my mother died? How my grandfather insisted I return to school immediately? Blackwoods don't wallow," he said. Marcus nodded, the memory clear despite the years. "I remember. And when I told him I was gay, his exact words were, 'I don't care what you do in private, as long as you fulfill your obligations to the family name.'" "Alexander, my entire life has been about fulfilling obligations, Marcus. About maintaining appearances. About being the perfect Blackwood heir." Alexander turned from the window, his expression resolute. "If I'm going to continue that tradition, if I'm going to enter into a marriage based on mutual benefit rather than love, I want it to be with someone who understands what that means. Someone who's made sacrifices for family, who knows the weight of responsibility." "And you think Olivia understands that?" "I know she does." Alexander's voice was certain. "She's been supporting her family since she was 18. She put her brother through college. She works 3 jobs to pay for her grandmother's medical bills. She understands duty in a way most people in our circle never will." Marcus was quiet for a moment, absorbing his friend's words. When he spoke, his tone was gentler. "I just don't want to see you hurt, Alex. Or trapped in a situation that makes you more unhappy than you already are." Alexander's smile was tinged with sadness. "I appreciate that. I do. But this isn't about happiness, Marcus. It's about purpose. About using the Blackwood resources for something meaningful." "And if she says no?" Alexander's expression hardened slightly. "Then I find another solution. But I believe she'll say yes." As Marcus left, promising to finalize the legal documents, Alexander remained by the window, watching the city lights begin to emerge as dusk settled over Manhattan. Somewhere out there, Olivia Rosario was making a decision that would change both their lives. He hoped she understood what he was offering, not just financial security, but a partnership built on mutual respect and shared purpose. He checked his phone again. Still no response. The evening air was cool against Olivia's skin, as she stood on the small balcony of her apartment, watching the lights of the George Washington Bridge shimmer in the distance. Her conversation with Camilla had clarified some things but complicated others. The practical benefits of Alexander's proposal were undeniable. The emotional and ethical implications were far murkier. Her phone rang, her grandmother calling from the living room. Olivia smiled despite herself. Her abuela still preferred shouting or calling over walking the short distance between rooms. Yes, abuela, she answered. That man called again, her grandmother said, her voice carrying a note of curiosity. The handsome one who visited. He left a message with Miguel. Olivia's heart skipped. What did he say? Something about papers being ready whenever you are. There was a pause, then her grandmother's voice softened. Olivia, what's going on? You've been distracted for days. Is this about work, or is it something else? Olivia closed her eyes, feeling the familiar weight of her grandmother's perceptiveness. She'd never been able to hide anything from Abuela for long. It's complicated, Abuela, she said finally. I have an opportunity, a chance to make things better for all of us. But I'm not sure if it's the right choice. There was a long pause, then the sound of her grandmother's slow, careful footsteps approaching the balcony door. Abuela appeared, her small frame silhouetted against the apartment lights, her eyes sharp despite her years. This man, she said, joining Olivia at the railing. He is offering you something. Something valuable. It wasn't a question. Olivia nodded. And there is a price, her grandmother continued. There is always a price. Yes, Olivia admitted. A big one. Her grandmother was quiet for a moment, her gaze on the distant bridge. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of experience. When your grandfather and I came to this country, we made a deal with each other. He would work 2 jobs. I would clean houses for the rich women on Park Avenue. We would save every penny, send for our families, build a life here. She paused, her weathered hand covering Olivia's on the railing. It was not the life we dreamed of as young people, but it was the life we chose together. What are you saying, Abuela? Olivia asked softly. I'm saying that life is full of bargains, my love. Some good, some bad. The question is not whether there is a price. The question is whether what you gain is worth what you give. Olivia turned to face her grandmother fully, struck by the simple wisdom of her words. And how do you know? How do you know if it's worth it? Abuela smiled, reaching up to touch Olivia's cheek. You listen to your heart, not just your head. And you ask yourself, will this choice make me stronger? Will it bring me closer to the person I want to be? Or will it make me smaller, less than who I am? The simple questions cut through the tangle of Olivia's thoughts, bringing clarity where there had been confusion. Would Alexander's proposal make her stronger or smaller? Would it bring her closer to her true self or push her further away? I don't know what this man is offering you, her grandmother continued, but I know you, Olivia Maria Rosario. You have your father's heart and your mother's spine. Trust them both. Olivia embraced her grandmother, breathing in the familiar scent of rose water and coffee that had been her constant comfort since childhood. Thank you, Abuela, she whispered. As her grandmother returned inside, Olivia remained on the balcony, her decision crystallizing. She pulled out her phone and Alexander's card, dialing the number with steady fingers. He answered on the second ring, his voice carefully neutral. Olivia. I've made my decision, she said, her voice clear in the night air. But I have conditions. Things we need to discuss in person. There was a pause then. Name the time and place. Tomorrow morning, the Metropolitan Museum, where we first met. It felt right somehow to come full circle. I'll be there, Alexander promised. In Olivia, thank you. As she ended the call, Olivia felt a strange sense of peace settle over her. The decision wasn't perfect, but it was hers, made with clear eyes and a full understanding of the bargain she was entering. Behind her, through the apartment window, she could see her grandmother moving slowly through the living room, pausing to adjust a framed photo of Olivia's parents on their wedding day. The sight strengthened her resolve. Some sacrifices were worth making. Some bargains were worth the price. Tomorrow, she would tell Alexander Blackwood that she would become his wife, not for love, but for something perhaps more enduring: purpose, security, and the chance to build something meaningful from an arrangement born of necessity. It wasn't the fairy tale she'd imagined as a girl, but maybe, just maybe, it could become a story worth telling.